The upcoming 2018 midterm elections may be the last major ones to take place in Massachusetts before a monumental automatic voter registration program takes effect in 2020, marking just the latest in a decade of similarly tectonic changes to the local voting process. In particular, local officials like Hudson Executive Assistant Tom Moses and Town Clerk Joan Wardell are reflecting on their histories and celebrating recent advancements such as automatic registration.
Anything they can do to register more voters, I think is fantastic. The goal should be 100% of eligible voters.
As is true with much of the country, Hudson has historically struggled to get residents to the polls on Election Day. In 2016, however, that was not the case, as voters gathered in droves for that year's presidential election.
As national politics has become more polarized, I think, at least in this last election, we've seen the numbers go up. They were huge. I don't know what the town clerk has, but I think the turnout was something like 80% of the registered voters.
2016 was a presidential election of historic proportions for many reasons. One such reason, however, which gets little press, was the introduction of online voter registration. A precursor to the automatic registration now in process, the online process streamlined the path for Massachusetts voters to register. Reflecting on the unusually high turnout in that election, Wardell in part credits online registration.
They think the online voter registration encourages people from their desks to register to vote, to know where they vote, make sure everything's correct. Sometimes people, when they write their name or sign their name, it's not really clear. So now with the computer, it comes over a lot clearer.
Agreeing it influenced the election's turnout, Moses, however, cautioned against crediting too much of the spike to online registration.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It probably was a factor, but it gets absorbed by the bigger factors of who's in the race and what type of election it is. So it's hard to see the effect.
Regardless, Moses, Wardell, and many others across the state are excited for automatic registration to take effect, as they hope it will alleviate some existing problems that still prevent some voters from casting ballots, even with advancements such as online registration.
People are mobile. People don't understand that if they move, they have to move the registration. With automatic registration, when they change their driver's license, hopefully that will curb that issue.
Oh, yeah. Ultimately, they add, even as the state works to build up their automatic registration policy and program from the ground up, they see very few downsides to it.
Not that I can see at the moment. I mean, if the opportunity is to register every person that is eligible, then that will be good. But sometimes people get nervous when they're at the RMV and may get registered incorrectly when they're not eligible. So that's something the state has to look at.